don't need us that much anymore. Things are normalizing. Then I saw my dad use a phone. I'm not going to say what company it is. From the OS level to the website that he was using, these are two huge Fortune companies. And I'm like, who's doing this? Who press play for this to go out to people to use? That means you need more of us in key roles.
So yeah, I want to switch a little bit. You've really hit the point home of communication being a key skill.
Yep.
And I know that through your experience of research bookmarks and UX or User Experience University, there are other skills that you find really important that a UX person should have. Talk to me a little bit about some of those other skills that you think are critical to being successful in UX.
Well, I mean, this is a challenge, right? Let's just define a bit here. Experience is a challenge. There's a base challenge at hand. You are part of a team or yourself being brought in to alleviate this pain point for the company too, internally and for the customers. Because if you can do it for the customers, the company also finds relief. Resilience is a key skill in this because we're starting at a point of there's a bit of mess. If it was perfect, they wouldn't need you. It's like we forget that point. That we live in this is a bit unsteady. You have to kind of come to grips with that and be kind of resilient in the answers that you get and the pushback, and not get too emotionally drawn into people's normal responses to things that frankly make sense to them, right? It's like if you're telling me I want it, if you tell any human being on the planet, do something you said no, they're gonna have a diverse reaction to it. This is my psych talking. So it's simple in that way. No matter what it is, you have the duty to clarify and bring about this. And this is done through resilience because the first thing you're gonna get is a no, pushback. You're gonna get pushback more times than not. Step back. That's another one. Resilience. Strategize, which I'm gonna attach that strategy word. Creativity is something that is exercised. This is something I found that's true in business, in life in general, and everything else. You have to exercise your creativity. Go into the fringes of the solution. Yeah, it's a muscle. How can we bring this about? It's not a prescribed thing, and you're not always right. Where you're right, someone else in the company is a little bit wrong. So you must have some compassion along with where you're bringing in solutions and trying to implement them. So resilience, being strategic, creative, some of the key skills, and then being compassionate across the board. What is this person going through? Why more difficult in this specific things than another? It can be both from the workplace and outside of the workplace. So these things are being called to. Everyone should read that report. It's a 308 pages, but you don't have to read 308. Only 197 really matter, and I read it twice, cover to cover. You need to bring these soft skills to the forefront. Resilience, compassion, creativity. These things are what people are looking for now, and what's going to help you translate like things into this world, right? Where everyone is busy. We know our attention span has gotten shorter. It's now less than 45 seconds. A lot of was reading something. So knowing, understanding all of this should help you be a better worker. Just if you leave UX aside for a second and be a good professional because you're working with people, you would be a better worker. You'd be more likable. The place will kind of take on more to you. Not that you won't have challenges, but it would be more pleasurable in a lot of ways.
Yeah. How do you display that in an interview or in your portfolio?
Yeah, another this must be the most boring podcast you shot. I'm saying the most basic things, but it's so important. But here's the thing with storytelling. I know we say it a lot. Storytelling. The reason why storytelling is important is that everything starts in the mind. Everything starts from imagination. Everyone is a child inside. And a beautiful child. Everyone starts from imagination. So before you conceptualize and build anything, whatever, maybe this keyboard, phone, whatever it is, someone had to imagine it. And then they go to work on it. That being said, if you are in an interview and the person in front of you is that just a little bit inspired by you, it's going to be very difficult to hire you. No one should be shocked by this. People hire people they like. Don't be shocked. It's a very normal thing. This is how the world works. It'll always work this way.
Yeah.
So being likable, there's an ingredient of inspiration inside of that. To inspire, for the human brain, a lot of it comes to storytelling. So become a better storyteller. If you want to take it to the extreme, take acting classes. Not to fake, but to learn how to tell stories. If you're in an interview and someone is asking you a question, I mean, take some time, have a conversation. Anytime you can turn an interview into a conversation, you're doing very good. If it's a call and response the whole time, you are then being measured and you're not inspiring the person that's in front of you. There's a young gentleman at UMBC, the college I went to. He's like, I'm looking, I just got out, but I worked before. He has a great set of experience at a big company before. In his country, came here, got a master's. Great experience. Issues in interviews. Why? Well, probably the storytelling part of it. How can I get ready for an interview? I'm like, well, how many interviews have you done? Well, done 30, 40 interviews in my life. You're ready. For some reason, you're not being able to communicate who you are to the person in front of you. This is a big issue across the board for younger people getting into the field, for people coming across. I happen to like stories and happen to like telling stories. So it's never really hard for me to turn a question into, there was a time. That's a great question. I remember this really funny thing that happened. Anytime I can let the person forget where they are in their hierarchy that we're in an interview, winning. Anytime they go from being the judge to the audience, you're winning. You need to be able to do that. You cannot create this thing without creating imagery. This is where storytelling comes in. This is always the same advice. Storytelling. So what does that mean? It means to create imagery so that people can get an understanding of what you're trying to say. They can imagine themselves being at UXCON. If they cannot do that, they won't buy the ticket. It just won't happen, right? Every move you make in your life, whether it be sitting, getting up here to go eat upstairs, you imagine eating that food. So you go and you choose that food on purpose. We're not robots. So at the very base, start thinking about storytelling in a very different format, in what it really is. Why do we watch movies? Why are we impressed by visuals? Think about that and then try to replicate that in a conversation and you get it.
And to take that a little bit further, yeah, you made me think, not just get on a soapbox and tell your story, but make it interactive. Bring them along, right?
They have to relate. They have to see themselves in the story. I mean,
Yeah. So
if you're asking me a question, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say sometimes that's the missing piece, right?
Yes.
The candidate is so eager to impress and tell their whole story that they lose their audience.
Yeah. I mean, the questions are always the same, right? Tell me about a time where you had to get over a challenge. If you ask me that question and I start by saying, have you ever been really lost? I just brought you from point A to point B. Now you're in my story. Now I'm about to tell you a story. You see yourself throughout the whole story. I've spoken to these college students a few weeks ago, and to do this stuff, you got to kind of get out of the normal, I don't know, how to do thing. Go read books, read more, maybe fantasy, or go watch documentaries, how movie producers or how writers write movies. This will give you way better insight on storytelling than someone teaching you how to interview. Because then you see how they make you think. People don't notice music in movies, the background music. But if it's not there, it's an awful movie. Like there are things,
It's awkward.
the details, like you go in and explore. Whenever you get on a soapbox and you're telling a story and trying to impress, you changing the dynamic of where you want it to be. You want it to be in a conversation. So when people are spectating, they treat you actually differently than when they are in a vision with you. So the first thing to do is to bring them in a common vision, start with a relatable fact, and then go into explaining and talking about, because they can see themselves. Everyone has made a mistake in their lives. Everyone has been lost. Everyone has won and done something really great. You can't go wrong anytime you start with some of these common points.
Yeah, that's a good point. Bringing it's that same theme, right? Coming together, bringing them along with you, meeting them where they are.
That's right.
You're like, I was over here. And
Yeah,
now I'm going to bring you over and you're going to come
that's
into
right.
my story with me. And you're like,
Yes.
oh, hey, here we
Yes,
go.
I get it. I get it. Again, the basic psychological facts that when you are in an interview, you only brought an interview, I think mainly because I studied industrial psychology before I got into this, is we're trying to mainly check if you're human. Can I work with you on a daily basis?
Right.
You're almost there. You know, working with someone, if people just don't connect, sometimes you don't connect with the people. And that's great. You shouldn't work there. A big win. If you go into an interview and you've done your best and there was such a thing and they're like, we just don't connect, great. Because that would end up becoming a place where you'd have gotten a lot of negative energies and that would have stress you out. And then that just starts a trend of very bad things happening. But if you go in there and your soul, your person comes out and it matches, it'll work. It'll work every time, right? People want to work with people they like, want to work with people that slightly inspires them. There are some things there that are true about all human beings, and you must know them and work around them as well.
Yeah. No one wants to work with a jerk.
No, no, absolutely not.
Not to say that we don't get stuck there sometimes, but we don't want
Nobody
to.
wants to work with that. So in an interview, bring out yourself. Don't talk down. Things that you may not even know you're doing. You know how people are
Yeah,
perceiving. Yeah, it's real. Yeah.
it's totally real. Yeah. So earlier, Yao, you mentioned picking up a side gig. I'd like to explore that a little bit. I know you have these endeavors and, full-time job as well. But I'd like to talk about the benefits or the value in maybe doing something on the side.
Yeah, I started UX by doing something right away. First, before I even went into the master's program, I found out UX. I read the books. I'm like, I can do this. This is great. I'm gonna do this, and I can fix everything around me now. Like everything looked after reading the design of everyday things, everything looked like it needs to be fixed. So I was a track and field athlete, and I ran across a gentleman that was building a timing app for meets, so parents can see the times live and all of that. I engaged him in a project. I got paid off for that project. I engaged them and said, hey, we're going to do, and I did research. I went to a track meet. I talked to parents. This is a familiar environment to me. Me and my working partner at that time, we literally went, did research, brought things back, designed wireframes. Everyone was a generalist, even 10 years ago. Now I know everyone is a specialist, but like we did all of these things. And the side gig part of it, it doesn't have to be in user experience specifically. Something else that challenges your brain. Like I'm saying, creativity, solution finding, solving problems is a muscle that needs to be exercised on a daily basis. Whether it's in this dormant mode or you actively doing it, you need to do something of this sort. Folks that are coming in, which there used to be a lot more than now, the first thing to do is to start your own thing. Always number one. Start your own thing. Trying to charge somebody, get somebody work for free, or get somebody that's putting out something that the world is seeing, go do it. If it's real, it's much more impressive in an interview. I can tell you that. If it's out there, whether you did it for free or for money, it's much more impressive and you would learn more. And that learning alone, when you go through a real process of a tool, an app, web app, or service, which is really important service, this gives you a different comfort in an interview. You go to walk into a role. And you can be bringing maybe side money that you need and so forth, building relationships, having a side gig or starting other projects, crucial to your own development in business, as a person, interacting with more people that are not. Work dynamic is different. Your boss is your boss at work, but outside of work, maybe you have a side gig. That dynamic is different as well. You can meet other people. You can coach people. All of these are part of yourself, your creative brain that you need to work. So it gives more than just money. It's actually not that fruitful in money unless you put in a lot of time. It's really about the other part of yourself, growing your career, outlook, challenging yourself, which you need challenging to grow. So it's an essential recipe in the cookbook of someone that wants to do something great or that's doing something great in their lives. Yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like you're saying you're flexing other muscles or skills that you may not have the opportunity to do in your day-to-day
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And
I've been
you,
there where I had a normal full-time job and I didn't have the opportunity to learn certain research methods or
Yeah.
flex certain UX skills. So I worked for charities for
Yes.
free
Yes.
to flex those skills and to develop those skills.
That's right.
And the beauty of that is I call the shots. I need to
Yes.
do stakeholder interviews and get
Yes.
stronger at that. So guess what? We're doing stakeholder interviews,
That's right.
right? So if you're working for free, you can drive what you need to learn and
That's a
through
great
those
point.
experiences
That's a
too.
great point. I mean, that's currency, by the way, right? That currency is essential. The freedom to act upon where I see you going. I can kind of see something going in this direction. I'm going to act upon it. There's essentially nothing free in the universe, right? There's really nothing free. So time is the most expensive currency that we have. You can't buy it back, no matter how wealthy you are. So when you're giving time, you're giving the most essential currency that you have. So then that puts you in a position of leverage. Like you said, you can learn and teach. Say, I want to learn how to do this specific skill. So I'm going to go do that specific skill for free, but it's really not free. You're using your time to do that. That's a very excellent point. I love that point because it's really hard to explain to folks. I think it's also because they get some bad advice sometimes, like don't do things for free. It's like nothing really for free. You're building yourself, your resume, your connections. You never know what sector you're going to be in. I'm sector agnostic. Okay, I worked in many sectors before. I don't care about the sector. The people, the problem, those are the things that are interesting to me. So you can find yourself back in this, whatever you're doing for free, you can find yourself back in that sector with a lot more knowledge than you had before because you give some of your time more, your talents. And it makes you think differently. You understand more of what your business stakeholders or other people are thinking when you're in that position now. Or your manager's thinking, why is he making this decision? Well, when you're in that position, let's see what you do, right? And so forth.
Yeah, for sure. And thinking about changing perspectives, Yao, you've been in UX a little more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
How has your perspective of UX changed over time, if at all?
I mean, we talked about all of the things, right? If you are interviewing me 5 years ago, that have been different. The core is still very much the same. I still love user experience. The last 18 months and the movements are happening. We don't need us that much anymore. Things are normalizing. Then I saw my dad use a phone. I'm not going to say what company it is. From the OS level to the website that he was using, these are two huge Fortune companies. And I'm like, who's doing this? Who pressed play for this to go out to people to use? That means you need more of us in key roles, understanding. That's the miscommunication part, right? That's what I've seen change. That's what my perception of it is. It's like we've grown a lot in skill and in tools. There are more and more tools. There are so many tools during the pandemic and all of that coming out. They all crashed now because we didn't really need them. But we're here where we're not communicating clearly to our stakeholders or are making business decisions that have the check to write these things down. So it goes back to that point where my perception is still the same. UX is still great. It's still very much needed. It's helping business do tremendous things, positive things as well. But we have an issue communicating with others from their perspective. We talk about empathizing with users a lot. How about your stakeholders? Empathize with them.
Yeah.
Like, why are they in the high seat? Why are they so adamant about this thing? If you can understand that, then you can communicate better with them and help them reach their KPI or their objective while reaching yours. So the field has changed in so many good ways. And our challenge is anytime something grows, the challenge also grows. You can't be given tremendous power without tremendous challenge. The more power you're given, UX making decision on what users literally touch and feel, then you give them more challenges. Business is going to ask you for more. If you do that, how do we get this? And so forth. We must also be ready to answer these C-suite level challenges that bring the bacon into these conferences, right? So it's, yeah. So many good things, so many positive changes, but also a lot of challenges around understanding, communicating. And I'm talking a lot about internal stakeholders because I found that people are so enthused to talk to us, especially researchers, when we go out in the field or the field, Zoom, whatever it is you do research on. We have more challenges at home internally than externally. We have to get better and employ more. There should be more workshops at understanding business ran by business people. I want to understand how they think. There's a lot of workshops on design and research and how to do one thing or another, but I want to attend more learnings with business people talking about business. That's the person I'm working with. I have to understand that guy, So yeah, then it's a part of me. I'm hoping to invite a lot more people to UXCON than just UX people. Our peers, invite your peers, your product managers, your business analysts, your scrum masters, trying to bring them in so they can have fun, they can inspire themselves. Last year I had my parents there, they're both civil engineers and they're retired now. And they had a great time listening to Joe Natoli and Corey Lepson talk about how their career has changed over the years. These are important. Everyone can relate to these things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you talked a little bit about how you feel like it's changed,
Yeah.
adding challenges. What do you hope the future of UX looks like?
Ooh, I'm hoping for a more integrated future into a lot more teams. And I'm seeing this already that different teams have user experience folks, researchers embedded in. So not just a product team. So the business team, a lot of service work there. There are CX people, family, right? The big user experience, customer experience family. I'm hoping for a more integrated future where we give our skills to where people need it the most. Teach these skills, not because we're going to lose our place, but because it's going to help them understand us and us understand them. I'm hoping for a future where we learn more about why business makes certain decisions, because that's also going to help us communicate and empathize with them. They're not just monsters looking at numbers. There are people too. I'm looking for a lot of that internal relationship to grow. I think that's going to reinforce the need for us because, again, when I see older adults or just people using their apps and their phone and they're lost in what they should do, I'm like, what are we talking about? There needs to be more and more of us embedded in teams and companies, and finding a way to pay for us is something business has to justify. And we have to get that understanding to communicate how we're helping the bottom line in different ways. So I'm looking for more integration, more learning from other people. I'm looking for more user experience folks becoming business people, starting tools. Like a lot of the tools we use are started by product engineers or people different outside of user experience. I'm one of the few, and you build a community that even get into this. We complain a lot about the tools and all of this. Build something, right? And learn, and Chatz generate a lot of this. So a lot of us getting into business, driving business is important. There won't just be a seat at the C-suite table waiting for us there. You have to carve it out in a lot of ways. So a lot of us also seeing on rising to those seats where we can communicate with our peers at that level and make decisions into product and services better. But the future is bright. I mean, from what I read and what I can see, it's needed. I don't know where it will go. They still need a lot of this, right? So I don't even know if we're in a true down. It's just really a qualitative down, but there will be more of a renaissance into this user, into this customer thing. With AI being at the center too, there will be a lot more. We need to bring vintage life and stuff back. People will make better choices, so we'll be more at the center of a lot of services and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, in a sense, optimistic outlook.
Especially if you spend too much time on LinkedIn.
Worst problem right there is you're reading too much crap, negativity and whatnot. But I think you're right, Yao. It's about collaboration, and it's the timeless problem of the silos and the competition between this department and that department.
Yeah.
And that is what's contributing to really crappy user experience out there in our stuff.
Yeah, it is. And the metric is companies, organization producing something that makes them money and improves its choice. If I choose to buy socks and I put them on, I have great joy. Someone in there in the engineering department, from the person that actually made the socks at factory all the way down to the website that I clicked to buy it on, there is some kind of synergy that happens through all of that for me to make that decision. It's very intentional. I know it feels like a long way out, but like from picking the cotton that designed that socks and all the way to me clicking a button and the truck delivering it, the delivery person, there's a chain at work here. There's a synergy, that whole world and a rhythm, and we can play into that very deeply.
I love that so much. Well, I think we're getting close to time now, so I just want to say thank you so much. I know you said this was a boring podcast, but well, not for me.
There's so many more exciting things out there, but I think these are the things that needs to be reinforced. The things we talked about, the communication, the going to a conference, not hyper learn something in 2 days or 3 days, but really connect with people and walk away with that. The future of our profession, how can we collaborate and engineer more synergy with people from different surfaces, different places, looking at AI as something that is constantly changed work. We are always changing. You and I sat here, we probably got older from the time we started this conversation to now. And there are constants, understanding some of these fundamental laws about life and then being able to use that. I really love you having me on here. I've been listening to a lot of the stuff and people you've been talking to and the circles, right? The connections that we have and the people that you brought on also very awesome.
For sure. It is a small world indeed. Well, again, thank you so much, Yao. This has been great.
Thank you so much.